Hello viewer, I have a bit of a character progress update regarding the animation and some interactivity I wanted to implement that I stated in the last video. Um, this one, this time around we have the procedural animation working pretty well with the feet. As you can see, he's running and reacting to his environment. I have a simple nav mesh just to sort of show you how he's going to be moving through the environment. I've added lean, I've added breathe, and a couple other different things, as you can see. I'll give you another example of him running, so you can see he's he's got the spring rate and the inertia is kind of all set up correctly. The gait does need a little bit of work. How he's running, like his hind legs. I think they're not lifting quick enough when they reach underneath his tail. So you can see him running. I mean, it's passable, and in a night, a shaded map or like a night environment, that could be totally believable. But I don't know. I feel like there is some room for improvement. See, he's running pretty well. I've added some tracking, so I'm gonna just jump into the level, and I'm going to get him to chase me, so you can see how he's sort of leaning into corners. I've yet to work on the jump, attack, and stun animations, but you can see here, like the jump is kind of, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. But, the second thing I want to talk about is I've written a custom shader that takes the impact point of the trace, the line trace, through the mesh, or through the collision, like the physics object of the mesh. And this allows me to put an impulse center, basically pass the coordinates all the way down into the material and set a vector parameter of where the impulse is, which bone it hit, and the index of the armature of the mesh. So I'm saying, let's say, I'll just give you an example here. Actually, I'm going to stop him running away. I'm just going to drag in a new one real quick. Where is he? So this one shouldn't have any pathing yet. So you can see here, he's standing there, he's breathing. But if I shoot him, he takes a nice big chunk out. I'll expand on the sort of reaction that he gives when you shoot him, but a bit later. But right now we'll focus on the shader, and I think it's taking chunks out of him. I think I might need to give him a skeleton, so when the chunks are when the chunks deform in, some bone is exposed and he doesn't look so flimsy. But you can see he's entirely dynamically reacting to the line trace, and the mesh is deforming to the line trace. Deforming to the impulse center of the impact point of the line trace. So as you can see, let me just reload in. I'll expand on the bone hits now. So when I shoot him, you see he's sort of flinching away and reacting to that shot. This is, I've gone and taken the, if you subtract the line trace end by the line trace start, you get the world direction of where that, basically a rotator, like a Euler, of where that trace came from, which allows me to negatively react, or it looks like an impulse has been given to the armature. So when I shoot a line trace, this direction, so the direction of the line trace is calculated, and then I'm adding that to the bone that it hit. Not only that, I'm using some for loops for each loops. So the bone that is hit is affected, and then the children of that bone are affected lesser, and then the parents are also affected in a lesser manner. So not only am I affecting the bone I hit, but I'm subtly affecting the bones around it. I think I've capped the bone array at about, I think it's three indexes children, three indexes parent. So when I hit the bone like this, it's telling the bone's children and the bone's parents to deform or react given the value that I give it. And it's based on a spring, like a spring easing. So what I'm giving the impulse or the direction. I'm giving it. I'm adding the damage of the projectile to that direction, which gives it the amount of the amount of force that is pushing on the armature, and then obviously the spring. So that sets an offset, and then the spring brings it back to its initial place or where it's supposed to be in the animation. I think it looks really good and it's really dynamic. I've done in the shader. You've noticed by now, but in the shader I've done a vertex. I think it's vertex parameter or something in the not in the shader. Sorry, in the material I've done a vertex parameter. So it's in the shader, in the deform shader or the deform graph. I'm telling the vertexes to change their alpha, and then the skin that's wrapped the mesh is looking, or will basically linearly interpolate, like lerping from the skin's alpha to the vertex's alpha. So I'm changing that alpha, and then I'm using the alpha in the vertex to linearly interpolate between the skin and the flesh texture. So that's why you're seeing it's not a decal or a decal. Sorry, it's not a decal, and it's not. There's nothing. I'm not having to stick anything onto the character. It's just deforming wherever I shoot it and reacting to however I shot it. This is a bit of a handgun I have that you can see based on the damage. I don't know. I think it gives a pretty convincing and a weighty feel to the guns. Makes you feel like you're having some sort of impact into the game. What else I want to talk about? Yeah, all the maths is done for the lean, for the breathe. Again, the feet could be better. Niagara effects. So I've written a system for. I think it's pretty cool. I've written a system for obviously the splash, but then as the monster's health gets lower, there becomes there's more of a chance of getting a bleed hit. So if you can see, he starts to bleed, and that bleed sort of sends these ribbons everywhere, which I love. So when he's, let me get a good example. If I shoot him in the head, let's say, and then I run around here, you can see he's spraying that blood everywhere. Like when he's running around the corners and stuff, spraying that stuff everywhere. And I think that's nice and dynamic. And that's sort of just one of the joys of working with Niagara effects. You get these cool ribbon effects. So what I'm going to do next probably is figure out how to get a collision event between the Niagara emitter. So like when a particle hits a ray trace surface, I'm going to put a decal there, like a blood smear or some sort of animation or something to make it look like he's truly bleeding out onto the ground when you're taking chunks out of him. What else? Yeah, I don't know. It's just good fun to shoot giant holes in these meshes. Obviously, the gunplay needs a lot of work, and that'll be a later on thing. I just want to make the monster's reactions satisfying. Yeah, you can essentially just blow big chunks and big holes off of the monsters using a Deformer Graph. Yeah, so learning HLSL was a bit interesting. It's essentially just mathematics and like algebra, but yeah, I think it paid off. And as you can see, the holes sort of stay there after he's dead. So yeah, thanks for watching the update.